What does a foot doctor have to do with fertility? More than you would expect. This story starts with a sore bunion and ends with twins. Stick around and hear how gentle therapy changed lives and what it might be able to do for you.
You might wonder why a podiatrist would be involved with infertility and issues in women. That's a long story, but I'll tell you some of it. A few years ago, I got involved with Bowen Therapy, and it's a form of acupressure massage. And in the course of doing it for my patients in my podiatry practice, one of them came back a few weeks later and she was holding a magazine in her hand. He says, "Silly, this magazine says Bowen therapy helps fertility issues. And my sister-in-law is going through infertility issues in Berkeley, California, and I think you could help her." I said, "I'm a foot doctor. I don't do that kind of stuff." And she said she'd sure appreciate it if you think you could try it. I said, if she signs a waiver that I'm just doing it for stress reduction and relaxation only, and I am not treating infertility, I'll give her a session. Let's see what happens. So she came to see me, and no wonder she couldn't get pregnant because she's on the city council, and the planning department. She was on the school board, an attorney with a full-time practice. And I don't know how she found the time to sleep at night, but in her age, she was having problems for 2 years with fertility and infertility. And I gave her a session, just one, as is in August. And in December or so, I got a Christmas card and a thank you note from her saying that she was 3 months pregnant and she wanted to thank me for for the assistance. And I said, wow. And then I recalled I had a patient, a young lady who was trying to get pregnant for a long time. She was a medical receptionist for the local pediatrics office. And I had done bunion surgery for her a couple times. And in the course of getting to know her and all that, I knew her personal stuff and that she was having fertility issues and so I called her up and she was having problems with one of her bunion surgeries after surgery with a little stiffness and adhesions in the joint. So I called her on the pretense of helping her bunion surgery. I didn't say anything at all about the fertility. I didn't say a word about it. I just gave her a full session. I think I gave her two, about a week apart. And time went by, and I called the pediatric office a few months later to about another patient. I said, "Oh, how's Debbie doing?" And the receptionist that answered the phone, she says, "Oh, Debbie, she's doing fine." She says, "She's 2 months pregnant." I said, "Okay, two for two." And over the years, occasionally my patients would come back and say that they got pregnant after Bowen therapy. And the one that sticks out in my mind the most is Kevin came to me when he needed bunion surgery, and his bunion hurt all the time. It was killing him. And I rarely scheduled bunion surgery on the first visit without going to the conservative treatment protocol first. But he convinced me that he had time off work and he had all the ducks in a row, and it was time to have his bunion operated on. He wanted to get it over with. And so I scheduled him for about 2 weeks out. And he said, "Oh, I've been favoring my bunion and my back hurts. So was there anything you could do for my back?" And I said, "I've got this treatment I do called Bowen Therapy, and it's acupressure." And I gave him the treatment that day. And he came back. He called the office about 3 days later and said, "Please cancel the surgery. I don't think I'm going to need that surgery any longer. My bunion stopped hurting." And so we canceled the surgery. He came back the following week and his bunion was not inflamed and it was not red and swollen. And he felt like $1 million. And his back was not bothering him. He wanted a tune up for his back just to make sure that it was good. And he asked me if I'd take care of his wife because she had back pain also. And I said, I'm a foot doctor. I don't treat backs, but I'll give her a treatment. And so I gave her a session. She came back in a week and she gave me a big hug and she really held on tight. She whispered in my ear, I want to thank you. And I said, I fixed your back, huh? And she said, no, you did more than fix my back. She said, I went to the fertility clinic this week and I had 28 eggs. And she said, I said, oh, 28 eggs. What's the deal with that? Usually I only have, when I ovulate, I only have one or two, and they're satisfactory for insemination. So we've been working on this for 8 months. And this week, when I went in, I had 28, and they inseminated three, and they put 12 in the egg bank. They froze 12 of them, and I guess the rest of them they pitched out. And she ended up having twins. Moved to North Carolina. I got an email from her a few years later. She'd moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is a little bit north of where I am in Charlotte. And she wanted to know if I could refer her to a Bowen therapist up there because she was having some recurring problems with her back. And by the way, thank you very much again for the twins. The twins are just doing great. And yeah, I met up with the acupuncturist next door to me in California when I was in practice. And I asked him about this subject because I see I've had a number of people that have resolved their infertility issues with the acupressure therapy. And I know you do acupuncture for that. Sometimes they do it all day long. That's all I do now. The fertility clinic, the IVF clinic up the street sends me 8 to 10 new patients a week for fertility enhancement. And we got talking about how it worked and what it did. And apparently, it stimulates the follicular hormones that formulate eggs. And it also increases, enhances the circulation in the uterus wall. And all in all, it helps relax the people. And so they aren't trying too hard. They ease up a little bit, leave it up to the gods to get pregnant, and they start trying to control the situation on their own. And yeah, that's all he does. They did a study on acupuncture with infertility. I think it's found to be 80% effective. And so that's how a foot doctor gets involved with fertility. It's nothing to do with my scope of practice. I only do it for stress reduction, relaxation, and postural improvement. And whatever else happens is spontaneous, and I can't help it. So if you have any fertility issues, you find yourself a good acupuncturist, and you probably want to find a foot doctor that does this, and find yourself a good acupuncturist and have at it.
Pretty amazing, right? Bowen Therapy may seem gentle, but these stories speak for themselves. Dr. Mitch is not claiming to cure anything. He's simply helping people reconnect with their bodies, reduce stress, and possibly open doors to something beautiful. If this video gave you hope or just made you curious, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody on their own healing journey. And while you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you don't miss the next video. And let us know in the comments if you were led to think of anything differently. Until next time, keep believing in your body's wisdom. See you soon.